This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Oil prices were steady on Wednesday after sliding to a one-month low in the previous session as investors assessed prospects of oversupply and talks over a Russia-Ukraine peace deal. Brent crude futures gained 13 cents to $62.61 a barrel by 11:35 GMT. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were up 19 cents at $58.14. The market remains fundamentally skewed to the downside, with investors increasingly pricing in an oversupplied 2026 and no convincing demand catalyst to offset it, said Philip Nova analyst Priyanka Sakdeva.
OPEC Plus is likely to leave output levels unchanged at its meeting on Sunday while focusing talks on a theoretical topic of how much oil its members can produce so the group can decide future policies, 3 OPEC Plus sources said. OPEC Plus pumps about half the world's oil and has been discussing for years production capacity figures, or baselines, against which members' output targets are set. Ministers on Sunday are expected to discuss a mechanism to assess countries' maximum production capacity, to be used as reference for 2027 output baselines, OPEC Plus sources said. OPEC Plus discussed the issue in September at a technical level.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
South Sudan President Salva Kiir has sacked Deng Luol Wol as the Petroleum Ministry's Undersecretary and replaced him with Chol Thon Abel, the fourth time he has transferred the post from one of the men to the other in less than 2 months. Kiir has repeatedly sacked and then reinstated, and sometimes sacked again, senior officials without explanation. Analysts say the tactic is aimed at maintaining control and rewarding loyalists in the face of increasing armed conflict this year between government forces and various militia, and amid speculation about his eventual succession. The state broadcaster announced the shake-up at the Petroleum Ministry on Tuesday evening, without giving any explanation, as is usual with such personnel changes.
Britain will remove £150, $198.23, a year on average from energy bills by moving some costs to general taxation and cutting a scheme to help pay for home improvements, Finance Minister Rachel Reeves said on Wednesday. The energy company obligation, which forces energy companies to pay for measures like insulation and new heating systems for low-income households, will be scrapped in April 2026, Reeves said. Without the intervention, the price cap, set by regulator Ofgem, was set to reach £1,758 a year in January, around 12% higher than the £1,568 a year level it was at when Labour came into power in July 2024. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. India has approved a 72.8 billion rupees, $815.74 million, rare earth permanent magnets manufacturing program, the information minister said on Wednesday, in an effort to cut reliance on imports for the elements critical to sectors ranging from electric vehicles and aerospace to defense and renewable energy. India's consumption of rare earth permanent magnets, one of the strongest types of permanent magnets, is expected to double by 2030, but it currently meets its demand primarily through imports, according to the government. The South Asian nation imported 53,748 metric tons of rare earth magnets in the fiscal year ending March 2025.
Copper prices rose to their highest in almost a month on Wednesday on growing expectations that the U.S. Federal Reserve will cut interest rates in December and that prices will rise further after outflows to U.S. stocks. Benchmark 3-month copper on the London Metal Exchange was up 1.3% at $10,963 a metric ton in official open outcry trading after hitting $11,025 for its highest since October 30th. The metal used in power and construction hit a record high of $11,200 on October 29, boosted by worries over tighter copper supply from the Grasberg mine in Indonesia this year and next.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
Russia exported a record volume of barley to Egypt in January to October this year of more than 32,000 tons, Russia's state agriculture export agency Agroexport said on Wednesday. The bulk of the shipments, worth a total of almost $8 million, took place in October. It was the largest volume of barley exports to Egypt, one of the biggest importers of Russian wheat, ever recorded, according to the export agency.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.